I really want to play bishop c3, allowing f4, and then queen d4, threatening checkmate, so he can't take my rook. But then queen f6. So now if he plays rook fc8, I'm gonna say major look, and I'm gonna go to this side of the board. I just played a kid that converted an endgame beautifully. This is round 4 of the Pennsylvania State Championship, and I am playing my highest rated person of the event. His published rating was like 1800, but his live rating is 1952. I did not know that at the time. I thought he was still lower rated than me, but by my highest rated opponent of the event. And going into this round, I had 1.5 out of 3, so I was hoping to bounce back and play well, and hopefully play another higher rated person last round. So I played e4, and this is a no engine recap until at the very end. At the very end, we check the engine, and hopefully we learn something along the way. And we have an Italian. We have he plays bishop c5, and against this move, I like to play c3 at the knight of 6. So far, we've all made pretty normal moves. Everyone's developing their pieces. I like to play d4, and this is a gambit line. After e takes and c takes, he goes bishop e4 check, and I play knight bd2, and blocking the check, and he can take this pawn, and he does. He does take this pawn. A lot of times, my opponents go d5, counter-attacking. Well, not counter-attacking, just attacking my bishop, and we go for a position like this. But my opponent just takes the pawn and allows me to play e5. Some other ways to play. You can also play e5 here instead, and this is not a gambit. Black usually goes d5, and then something like this could occur. Knight e4 and takes, and this is very well known. This is like pretty well known stuff. But I like to play the gambit line. Knight c3 is also pretty well known too. I don't play this, but I know this is pretty okay for white, and pretty okay for black too. So I play knight bd2, he takes, I play d5, and basically the point is I'm ahead in development, and after he castles, I play a3, and I have the bishop pair. He doesn't have to take my knight. He could play bishop a5, but it gets a little bit dicey. I have this nice bishop pair. I could also maybe even play d6 right now too, and then play like this, and now my bishop's open. He has these doubled pawns that are hard to get out. Although maybe I have knight d4, and after d5 takes, and maybe this still doesn't look very good. I mean, I could even just take the pawn right now. Although I probably don't want to. I probably want to go bishop here. And yeah, the game goes on. The game goes on. Okay, anyways, I'm getting super off track here. So he doesn't have to take on d2, but it's the most common move because you want to prioritize development. You want to get d6 in, you want to move out your bishop, you want to move your knight, you want to get your rooks in. So it makes a lot of sense to give up your bishop for the knight, because you want to prioritize development. I play rook e1, and my next 3 moves are very silly, like rook e1, rook e3, rook g3. Like, bro, I had my caveman brain activated, and I was like, rook attack, attack. I considered other moves, like for example, rook e1, knight g6, rook c1, and now I'm also targeting the c7 pawn. Maybe I can move my bishop back, and maybe I have a battery here and attack the c7 pawn. Maybe I can play rook c3, rook e3, and double up on the e file. Like, there's different ideas here, and they're all fine. As far as I know. I decided to play rook e3 though, and I could play queen e2 here. I could probably play this, and after rook takes, queen takes, and rook here, he could try to just speed run to the endgame. Which is probably what I don't want, considering I gambited a pawn. But maybe it's not too horrible for me, but probably still not what I want. So I play rook g3, and he plays this move f5. Very good move. I really want to play bishop c3, allowing f4, and then queen d4, threatening checkmate, so he can't take my rook. but then queen f6, and I can play a move like queen e4, for example, opening up an attack on the queen, but I have to move like, whatchamacallit, I have to move like queen f7, there are no threats, and the rook is still hanging, and if I have to move my rook off the g-file, what is my rook doing on f3? It looks really awkward, and you know, maybe even f3 occurs, although in this case it blunders the bishop. That's not very good. But yeah, my rook is really awkward on f3, and if he ran his pawn all the way down, it doesn't look very good for me. So I didn't like the prospects. He could even play rook f6 if he really wanted to, although I'm not sure if that's any better. But it could be, because now if I try to move my queen, then this is just a trade. Although in this case, he's up a piece. So it's not just a trade. He's up a piece. He can also just throw this check in and then take back. So this is really not good for me. So I really want to play bishop c3, but I couldn't justify him playing f4. So that's why I decided to play f4 myself. So now he cannot push f4. And he played queen e8. Makes sense. He wants to go queen f7 and get his other rook into the game. This is a very logical play by him. And I played bishop d3. I really wanted to play queen h5, but I couldn't justify queen e4. Like, queen e4 attacks the bishop, and what am I going to do? If I play bishop d3, he could play the move queen takes d5. I could play rook c1, threatening bishop c4. But maybe he could just play b5. And if a4, a6. Just defend. And I had a hard time justifying this. I'm 2 pawns down, and I didn't see the best way forward. I could play rook h3 here. And yeah, this is a hard threat to parry. Maybe after this and rook h3, maybe. Actually, yeah, this is really hard. Maybe this was good for me. Maybe I didn't have to worry about the d5 pawn. Because rook h3 looks really strong. I actually didn't realize how strong rook h3 was in the game. So black cannot take the pawn. Probably not. Black does have this check here. I'm pretty close to getting away with it. As a bishop c3, I can take the knight. Or I can take the queen. Bishop c3, I can take. Yeah, so it's not super easy for him. Or for me, I guess. I'm the one with white pieces. Maybe this is good. Yeah, maybe this is good for black. Which makes sense. Black is up 2 pawns. But it's tricky. It's very tricky. It's very, very tricky. Yeah, maybe queen takes d5 isn't a threat because of 3, but maybe it's still losing for us. So I couldn't justify the queen getting to e4. I just couldn't justify it. I couldn't figure out a way to justify it. So I played bishop d3. Just completely I just have complete control over the e-file. There are no infiltration squares. I never have to worry about him doubling up on the e-file now because my 2 bishops render this e-file useless. He plays queen f7, and once again, I was thinking about queen h5, but let's say, you know, I just couldn't figure out what to do. For example, rook f8, what am I going to do? Or sorry, rook e8, rook f8 to e8, what am I going to do? If I go rook h3, he might play h6, and then I can go here. And if knight f8, then I can take. And if king h7, maybe this holds everything, but it's a little bit scary looking. But maybe this is okay for black too. But yeah, like I said, knight f8, then the h pawn hang, and if but also if rook h3, I can just go knight f8, and black is holding on to everything, and the queens are attacking each other. So I wasn't convinced with queen h5. I just wasn't convinced. So I played queen b3 instead. I was like, yeah, this makes sense. I'm attacking the pawn, and if b6, then I'm going to go rook c1, and if he tries to defend, I'm going to go bishop here. And I was like, yeah, this makes perfect sense. And I'm going to infiltrate with the rook. And I was like, this looks pretty good. So after queen b3, he instantly plays rook b8. And I'm like, okay, now I'm going to play rook c1. So now if he plays rook fc8, I'm going to say major look, and I'm going to go to this side of the board. Major look, haha, you moved your rooks here and here. Those are weird squares. I'm going to go back here because nothing's really happening over here. Or I might play bishop c3 first, or I don't know, I might do other things. So but I didn't feel that bad about my position after rook c8. Except he didn't play rook c8. He played c5. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm stupid. I'm like, oh no. Like, c6, before he played that move, I was like, c6 would be a horrible move because now I have bishop c4 and he's getting killed on this diagonal because I'm starting to take and open things up, and if he takes, well, now his queen is pinned to his king. So I thought, okay, great, he can't move his c-pawn. Then he played c5. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so dumb. Like, I'm so dumb. I cannot take because the queen is hanging on b3. So this pawn is pinned to my queen. So I can't take en passant. And now, but I actually don't think this position is that bad for me. But I have one move and one move only. I have to play a4. I have to play a4. I have to stop b5. And if he tries to play a6 to prepare b5, I have a5. I'm clamping down. If he plays b5, I just take. And now this pawn is hanging. I get my pawn back. You know, he hasn't done anything. So, like, I have to play a4. I have to. This is the only move in this position to hold the balance. I need to hold the balance of this position. I still have the bishop pair. I still have this more space in the center. Everything is fine as long as I play a4. I play bishop c3. What? Like, I cannot even justify this move to you. I just can't. I just can't. I guess I didn't think about a4 enough. I just can't justify bishop c3 because of b5. And it's bad news bears. c4 is coming and it's a fork. And there's really not much to do. So I just go queen d1. Getting my queen out of the way. And he takes the pawn on d5. And it's a little bit tricky. It's a little bit tricky because, for example, if he plays a move like b4, he has to be a bit careful of, like, me giving up, moving my bishop out of the way. Then I can play bishop c4, pinning his queen to his king. So he has to be a little bit careful, but it's winning for him. I play h4 with the idea that if he takes, well, what was my idea if he played just c4? What was my idea? Who knows? I could honestly just take on g7. That like almost works, although it doesn't, because now the king is no longer on this diagonal, so maybe it doesn't work. I forgot what I was planning if c4 happened. I actually completely forgot. I have no idea. I think my plan was to just lose. I don't remember. But instead, he plays rook f7. So he's like, well, maybe, yeah, actually, maybe after c4, h5. Maybe that's the idea. Maybe that was my idea. And yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, this doesn't look that bad for white. Because if pawn takes, then takes, and yeah, this doesn't look that good for him. Takes, then here. Maybe it's not that bad for him, but it's definitely more scarier than he wants it to be. Okay, yeah, definitely. So he played rook f7 just to guard the g7 pawn with his rook, because my rook and bishop are targeting it. So, and I play king h2, a very tricky move. The idea is that if he plays a move like c4, not c4. If he plays a move like knight takes h4, I can play a move like bishop c4. If he takes my queen, it's no longer a check because my king is no longer on the back rank. I can take his bishop. After he takes, I can take, and I have two rooks, and he only has one rook. That was my idea. And if he takes the bishop, then I can play the move bishop takes g7. And if he takes my rook, I can go bishop h6, for example. And after his king moves, I can take the queen, and I have a queen for a rook and a knight. So that should be good. So that was my idea. I also thought the tactic worked with knight takes f4 because of the bishop c4. If the same thing happens, well, this is just the same thing happens, but actually, you can just take because the knight on f4 guards the queen on d5, and I didn't see that, so actually, he could have just taken. He could have just taken this pawn, but instead of taking either of these two pawns, he goes c4. And I'm like, okay, that's interesting. I just take. Same idea. If queen takes, then bishop takes f7 check. And if queen takes e4, which will happen in the game, now I have h5. And I was getting really excited because after knight takes f4, then I might have other moves like bishop. Not other moves. This move. I have this move. And I was like, yeah, this seems pretty good. This seems very good. He could just take. Wanted to. Then I would probably take, and he would probably take, and I could probably take, and this is probably good for me. And or he could take here, which is also fine, and then I could take, and go here, attacking both the rook and the knight at the same time, which is good for me. So I was trying to be tricky. But here he takes with the queen, allowing me to take. And we reach an endgame where I have 2 rooks and he has 2 rooks. But we have opposite colored bishops. But more importantly, he's up a whopping 3 pawns. Which is bad news bears for me. This is not very good. And he ends up, and I play queen g1. So I really want to kick this queen off this diagonal to get my rook out of the pin. So I end up playing queen d1 with the idea that after he makes a move, he plays d5. I have rook f1, attacking the queen, trying to get it off this diagonal. But of course, a d5 opened up more space for the queen to move backwards. He goes queen d6. I go bishop b4. He goes queen c7. And I go queen d5. So my idea is I centralize my queen. I can maybe go bishop c3 again, and I have good control of the dark squares here. So even though I'm definitely losing, I'm definitely worse, but it's not so easy. I'm resisting. He goes g5. I go bishop d2, attacking the pawn, and I'm never afraid of him going f4 because after it takes f3 check, discover check, I go king back. And if he takes, I take, and I win the game. So, not going to do that. So, I'm never afraid of him pushing f4, even earlier. Like, for example, even in this position, f4, nothing to worry about because of check here. And if he ever does take, same exact thing. So, nothing to worry about. So, he plays g5, though. I play bishop d2. Just attacking the pawn, and he ends up playing queen c4. A very nice move. What I should probably play in this position is queen f4, and the game goes on. It's very uncomfortable. Maybe he plays the move g4. Maybe that's what he does. I'll probably play bishop f3, and after he moves the rook, maybe he'll move the rook. And then I'll move my rook. And maybe something like this could occur. I don't know. But point is, I should keep the queens on. Not should. I need to keep the queens on. Instead, I was actually pretty optimistic. Well, firstly, I didn't want to make a retreating move. That felt wrong. But also, I was pretty optimistic for some reason. I actually thought, I think I might be able to hold this. Also, I thought he would take like this for some reason. This is obviously superior because the b pawn is hanging. So I have to respond to that. And then he defends his g pawn. So I have no idea why I didn't consider b takes c4. because it opens the door for this. And even though this pawn looks kind of weak, it is a passed pawn that can start rolling down the board eventually. So taking the queen was really dumb. I'm kind of disappointed in myself for playing this. But whatever, the game goes on. I play rook e3. He plays f4, getting his pawns rolling down the board. I play rook e5, attacking the pawn. He defends. I attack this pawn again. He plays g3. I go forward. He goes rook e8, controlling the open file. I try to contest it as fast as possible. And yeah, the game is just continuing. He trades and goes into rook f6. Very nice move. Very nice move. And I have a couple choices to make. I could play king g4, but then there's this move d4, attacking this pawn on g2, and there's no way for me to easily defend it. If I go king h3 to defend it, well, now what have I done? I just let his pawn get closer to promotion. Maybe you can play rook e6, attacking the bishop and attacking in g2, and this is just bad news bears. This is absolutely horrible for me. So after rook f6, I don't play king up. I just play bishop c3, attacking the rook. And if rook check now, I go king g4. I'm attacking this pawn, and it's impossible to defend, and life is good. He could try to trick me with the move f3, and if I take, he has a discovered check, winning the bishop on c3. But after c3, I probably just take the pawn, and it's a little bit tricky still, because once again, I cannot take because of check, winning my bishop. So I probably have to go around the pawn. Maybe he plays rook here, but I'm not too concerned. I should be fine in this position. So the promotion square is a dark square, and I should be fine, just like I said. And now I'm really threatening the pawn. There's no way for him to defend it, and life is good. Life is very good. So I'm not scared to move rook h6 immediately. But he plays bishop d7, king up, rook check, king blocks, and he thinks for a while here. He played this whole sequence very quickly. He played this, and this move very, very quickly. All of this very, very quickly. But he thought for a long time in this position, because after trading, he goes bishop h3. And if I take, it pushes to f3, and then there's no way for me to stop the pawn from moving on f1. Instant rewind. Bishop h3. And there's nothing I can do. Because if I take, he promotes. So I don't take the bishop. I play king g5. He takes, I take, he goes here. And at this point, I have under 5 minutes. He has under 5 minutes. And, neither of us are notating. So I don't remember the whole rest of the game, but I remember parts of it. And I'll show you where I don't remember what happened. But basically what happened is he moved his king up. I'm my king up. He moves his pawn up. I go here. He goes here. I go here. He goes here. I go here. No. I think. Yeah, here. He goes a6. Yeah, that makes sense. I go back. He goes here. I go here. He goes here. I go here. Then it goes king b5. And I'm like, uh-oh. King a4, king a3, king c2, king d3. After bishop back to c3, he's going to play d4. And he's going to start rolling his d-pawn down the board. And this is not good. This is not good. I'm going to lose. And, time is ticking. 4 minutes, 3 minutes. I'm like, uh-oh, this is not good. I run my king back. But now, my king no longer defends the path of this g-pawn, so he starts pushing it. And I use my king to hold on to this b-pawn. So now he cannot infiltrate to c2. And now I go move my bishop back. And I'm just defending now. And now after he gets this pawn to g2, Now he moves his king back. I actually thought he might have this really nice move c3. I thought this is what he was gonna play, because after pawn takes, king takes, he has this passed a pawn, and my bishop doesn't even guard the promotion square, and is also guarding the promotion square of this g1 pawn, of this g pawn, I should say. It's guarding the g1 square. So it's like my bishop. I think this is losing for me. But he didn't play it, so I was happy at the time. But I was like, uh-oh, this is not good. And I ended up doing something super weird. Like, I actually don't even know. Like, these moves didn't happen. But, like, something along the lines of this happened. And for some reason, my bishop was on g1. And, like, this stuff happened. And he pushed d4 at some moment. And it was just all bad. It was just all bad. Like, life was not good. And he ended up getting a pawn here. And he ended up like walking his king like all the way back at some point, and we were both moving like absolutely instantly. And like for some reason, like I didn't move like any of my pieces at all. My bishop was still on h2 for some reason, and like I think I moved like my king on g1, and like my bishop was over here for some reason. And then I just pushed and I resigned. I was pretty disappointed with myself in this game. I was very disappointed in myself for a couple of reasons. Like, one, I think this is probably objectively losing, but maybe it's not. But I probably shouldn't have gotten myself in this situation in the first place. The first moment that I'm really disappointed with myself at is missing c5. I should have known c5 would come. I should have known. There's like no excuse for that. I should have known. Secondly, what in the world compelled me not to play a4? I will never know. I will never know why I didn't play a4. Like, I just won't. And I will forever know that I am bad at chess. So I should just play a4. And then play a5. So c5, bad move. But bad by me not to see that. Bishop c3, horrible move by me again. So rook c1, bad move. Bishop c3, a bad move. And yeah, I mean, I'm already losing. This is a really tough position to play. I don't blame myself for any of this. I thought this was a nice way to keep the game going. And I was kind of proud of myself up here. And yeah, I think I'm doing okay here. Like, just keep the queens on. Queen f2. It just makes sense. It just makes sense. I'm still losing, but I think that's a better way to try to hold. And yeah, I mean, that being said, I guess I did sort of well here. Bishop h3, nice move by him. He played it instantly. I think I'm going to turn on the engine just for this piece, just to see whether or not objectively it's winning or losing. It's -1, minus 0.8. I suppose probably losing. Yeah, minus 0.8 in an endgame doesn't mean much. Because that means it could be a draw or it might not be a draw. It's kind of hard to tell. But I'm going to turn off the engine now. But yeah, I mean, I'm just really disappointed with myself. You know, I think I'm better than that. You know, but it is what it is. The kid played really, really well. And yeah, so I ended up heading into the last round with 1.5 out of 4. 1.5 out of 4. Oh well, it happens. Game review time. See you guys next time.